I think I finally figured out why I feel so awkward on camera right now. Just a second, as I have to move the screen back so I don't just stare at myself the entire time. But I was listening to a podcast today with John Fio. He founded Gravity Blankets and then also Moon Pals. I hadn't heard of anything of him before. I heard about the whole Gravity Blankets craze a couple years ago, but never really thought too much about it, never looked into it at all. On this podcast, though, he was talking about a whole lot of different things about really creating magic in a brand. It was an awesome podcast. I'll link it in the description. But there's a realization in there that I've heard it 100 times before, but it never clicked like this. What I've been told is talk to the camera like it's your best friend, and it's like, yes, that sounds great in theory, but how do I talk to you like you're my best friend when this is a camera that just has a red dot on it that I'm staring at? But then he told the story of Justin Bieber. So this is when he was just getting started and working in the music industry, and I'm not going to have the story perfect. I just heard it once on the podcast, but 100% go listen to that podcast. It's awesome. He's in the music industry helping, I think, uncover talent, and he was working with Justin Bieber's team or somebody that was working with Justin Bieber. Anyways, not important to the story. What is important is that they were having a Sunday barbecue, and he helped throw that on, but he was pretty new at the company at this time and just kind of like low man on the totem pole, I guess you could say. In comes Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber comes up to him, daps him up. What's going on, man? They go off, they play beer pong, but the feeling that he had right away was, me and Justin are best friends. He is treating me right now that he is my best friend, and all of a sudden everything clicked for me. That is really why Justin has that magic, that electricity to him, and he blew up just out of nowhere from a YouTube video. But it makes sense because he has that ability to make people feel like you're his best friend. It's like, got it. That makes sense. And so a lot of times that I'm filming content, especially if I'm not being consistent enough with it, is the camera's not so much feeling like a best friend. And it's kind of like, especially if you're not thinking about it as a friend. Right now I'm talking about it as an it, and it's probably need to rethink this relationship in my head. But when I'm not thinking of it as a friend, or even worse, I'm just making content for a means to an end because I want to make money, all of a sudden it ruins that relationship. If you're just going up to somebody on the street and instead of trying to create that connection, treat them as a friend, you start trying to sell them something. I knew that, but I didn't know that. Seeing that example of Justin Bieber of how he can just go up there and make that connection right away, just doing the little dap, it makes sense now. Because a lot of times, especially when you're struggling to make money, you need sales coming in, it's so easy to be like, oh yeah, I'm treating the camera as a friend, but at the end of the day, it's a means to an end, not you actually treating this. I can't keep saying camera as a friend, but I'm just trying to ingrain that in my head at this point of how I can shift how I'm looking at the camera, how I'm focusing on making content. And that's actually what I've really liked about how I've changed my writing process is, for a second, I stopped trying to post everywhere and doing all that, so I just wrote for me. And then I started putting it up on my website, and then it's more just organic at this point. And so I feel like those writings are more just me sharing thoughts, like me sharing thoughts to like my buddy Austin, my buddy Max. It's more organic that way. But then I was making these videos over this pr30 challenge, and it just felt, I don't even know. It's not even like I had intentions going into it. I was trying to sell something. At the same time, it just was not connecting in the right way. And I think that is really what it's all about at the end of the day. If you can create that connection and have that magic moment where it's just you and the camera and you're creating that connection like you're friends rather than there's having some ulterior motive in it, it's a totally different experience. And my other point on this was it makes sense why it feels awkward in the beginning, not because the ulterior motive just per se, but the other side of it is when you just start knowing somebody, like not super comfortable with them. Like, you talk a couple times, it's like a work colleague. You can get to a certain level of comfortability, but you guys aren't best friends. It's not like that work colleague's like gonna be telling me I need to go buy this book or see this movie. We're not tight like that because it's a work level relationship. Whereas if you take the next step to actually build that friendship on top of that, where it's not just some work relationship where I'm just showing up because I need leads, I need to make sales, which is just gross, and again goes back to that previous mindset. But treating the camera again like a best friend. And it might be awkward in the beginning because I'm a little bit awkward meeting strangers in the beginning. But at the end of the day, if you form that relationship, then I think things are going to be a whole lot smoother. But if you're just talking to each other once a week, once a month, once a quarter, that relationship is really never being developed. Whereas that's what's so cool about the pr30 challenge is now you're talking to this camera, the audience. I don't even like saying it like that. I'm talking to you every single day, and so I feel more comfortable already. And just thinking about it, just like talking to a best friend. I said that to myself a week ago, saying it to myself again, and it means a whole lot more now that I've heard that Justin Bieber story. But he also, again, go listen to that podcast because he talked about how Mr. Beast is not just like a best friend, but like super best friend, and how you're just so involved in the Mr. Beast world and the magic that's happening there, and how Mr. Beast has been able to grow, and he's not really just selling video tutorials on how to make great YouTube videos, but he's selling chocolate, he's selling burgers, he's selling pizza, and it's just all these people are coming close to the Mr. Beast world, and you're treating him not just like a friend, but a super best friend. And whether that's good or bad for society, that is a whole nother ethical conversation, but it's just interesting seeing how these online relationships really go in effect. So being able to create that relationship with somebody, though, that's a pretty cool skill, but it's also pretty special to be part of somebody's life, in that you could be somebody's virtual best friend, be there for them on a one to many scale.